Hello again, this is Tim Baldridge, and today we're going to talk about Pedestal. So, before we get started, I want to talk about it a little bit, not just demonstrate some stuff today, but I want to talk about it. So, Pedestal is a web framework or a library actually for building web services. You can also build, single page apps or multi-page apps, that sort of thing. But those are more add-ons, and it's not that you can't do those things. It's just the core system is really designed around building APIs first, and then these other things can come later, which is kind of the way I like to build my apps. So we're going to start by looking at how to build some web APIs with this. And today we're going to go over a little Hello World. Now, there are different types of web frameworks. I'm using that term lightly here. It's web libraries, web service libraries in Clojure. Um, but I really prefer Pedestal, and I think we'll see through these series of tutorials um, some of the advanced features that Pedestal offers. Now, I should note that, yes, I currently work for Cognitect. I have for some time, and as such, I have had some involvement, some work in developing this, and I work for the company that maintains this library, Pedestal. But this is not sponsored by Cognitect. I have not been asked to do this. This is me doing this on my own, simply because I believe Pedestal is one of the best, or if not the best, library for building web apps in the Clojure ecosystem. So to start with, and so I really want to go through in this tutorial to show how simple it is to get started with Pedestal, how simple it is to work with the advanced features that it offers, and really how you can just sit down and bang out an API pretty quickly. And that's most of the work I do in my life has to do with APIs and stuff. There may be extra work involved if you want to do things like, content pipelines or CSS compilation or integrate with Clojure script. These are all things that we can add on, and we'll probably explore those. But to start with, I just want to talk about APIs. So first of all, I have in our project CLJ imported Pedestal Service and Pedestal Jetty. So one of the first things you'll notice here is that Pedestal breaks out the actual web server side of things. So Jetty is possible. It's also possible to use Immutant, but there are other backends you could use. So today we're using Jetty and the service library. So first thing we need to do is we need to require, and we're going to pull in io.pedestal.http as HTTP, and we pull that in, and it's importing here, and we get some errors about SLS for J not being in here. So when it comes time to look at logging and that sort of thing, we'll probably revisit this, but this works for now, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a simple endpoint. Now, if you go to the Pedestal main Pedestal website, which is pedestal.io, and I don't think I can drag this window. Thanks, OS 10. I was going to try to drag this web page over so we can look at it, but can't do that in full screen mode. Anyway, what we're going to go through today, a little Hello World app, is you can see it on the pedestal.io website. So we're just pretty much going to copy it in, talk about it a little bit, and then we'll get into more advanced concepts in later tutorials. I do plan on releasing this tutorial for free, and I will probably do so for the next few, because I really want a lot of people to get interested in Pedestal and to understand it. And I think doing at least the first 3 or 4 or 5 episodes free for this Pedestal series would be great. After that, I may enable the so you have to have a subscription, but we'll see how that goes. All right, so first of all, we're going to just have an endpoint that responds with hello. Now, the two things, there's many different ways to write these endpoints, but to start with, we're going to have the hash map that has a status and a body. Now, the body can also be many things. A lot of things in Pedestal here are pretty polymorphic. And what I mean by that is you could return a lot of different stuff in the body. I think it's possible to return a input stream. It's also possible to, I believe, have a core async channel here if you want to do like server sent events and that sort of thing. But we'll just start like this for now. Hello world. All right, so our body is going to be hello world. Simple enough. Okay, so start with that. And now we're going to have routes. And there's also many ways of specifying routes, but this is going to be what's known as the terse pattern. Um, and it really couldn't be any simpler than this, right? What is this routes? Let's look at this routes. So routes is a hash map of vectors. The first thing in the vector is the path. The second thing is the method. And then the third thing here is what we want to do when we get something with that. So in this case, we're just going to call respond hello. And actually, this requires a request. There we go. Simple enough. Really can be easier than this. So one thing I want to point out here is what I really like about this so far is that this is just data. We didn't compose functions that are now opaque. And what do I mean with that? Well, if I said something like, if I say comp first next, right? If I comp two functions together, this is now opaque. What is this? I haven't the slightest clue by looking at that what it is. All I see is here that we have first and next. I can see it here in the source, but I can't see it over here in the result once we evaluate it, what those functions were composed of. Here, in the routes, we can see what it is, which is a vector with a string, get, and then this thing here, which says object, right? But it's a var. I believe we could actually do this, and then we would see, there we go. We would see that it's actually a var. And this should work as well. It'll just call through and respond hello. All right. So back to our example. Now we're going to make a function that starts our server. First thing we need to do is we need to create the hash map that describes our service. And for that, we're going to do HTTP routes, HTTP port is going to be 8080 today. And this here is our namespace keywords, right? So HTTP refers to IO Pedestal HTTP. So these are fully namespace keywords. And then HTTP type is going to Jetty. Right? So this says use the Jetty backend that we saw before. And then finally what we're going to do is HTTP create server and HTTP start. There you go. So now we should be able to start the app. Let's see here. For class nil, I seem to have a problem with the routes here, which is a little bit, this should be plural. Okay, so I did a little debugging here. And actually the problem here is this, I was missing this backtick. So what get here expects is a symbol, not the function itself, because if you have a function, you can't get the name like we were discussing a little bit ago. This is the way it prefers it, is that we have an actual symbol. So this says greet, get is respond hello, right? Okay, so based on this, we have our start function. We can now start the application. And we'll see here, curl. Sure enough, we call curl, and we get back hello world. Now this does appear to hang our local browser. We could have wrapped that in a thread. And we'll cover that more in the next tutorial. But this is the basis of getting a Pedestal server up and running. I mean, this is something that I could memorize very easily. You know, we'll get into more advanced things later on. But this is pretty easy. In addition, let's see here. If we go and let's see, println request, we can see what's in the request. Now, I don't know if this takes place immediately. Actually, no, because we gotta do that. And let's see here. No, we have to restart the server, which we'll handle in the next tutorial, how to restart the server and everything, because now we have the address already in use. But we can see what happens here when we switch to 1. We start up another server. And yeah, there's some stuff with nrepl. But we'll get that taken care of for the next tutorial to show how to kind of debug this and stop the server and redefine endpoints and that sort of thing. But that's that's pretty much it for today. Hopefully this was useful. Like I said, it's just the hello world. You could have gotten this off the front page. But we'll get into some more advanced tutorials in future episodes. Thank you for watching.